Hello and welcome to this lesson on the tune Greensleeves for the GC Melodeon. Now the good thing about learning a tune on an instrument like this is that it's transferable across several instruments. Anything that's a fourth apart like D, G, G, C, B flat, E flat, C, F, A, D, they're all the same distance apart, so more or less you can transfer one tune from one instrument to another. There are always a few things you have to think about. For instance, this instrument is a third button start. That means to say that the placement of the fingers is slightly different from when I was playing it yesterday on my DG, and so just have to bear that in mind. But basically it's going to be the same thing. The other thing I'm going to have to think about is that this button has been tuned to E minor. Normally it's E major from the factory, but it's been tuned to E minor, so I'm not going to be able to use that button. So every time it says an E bass followed by an E major chord or E5 chord, I'm not going to be able to use that button, so I'm going to have to think about that. So if you've got an E major on this button, I've got minor, then of course you can play it, but beware of that. Now I'm going to play the tune at this tempo. It's 96 beats per minute, so that's a reasonable tempo. It might be a little bit slow, but if you're learning a tune, what I always say is practice it slowly and then build the speed up. So we start by looking at the key signature. Now it's got one sharp. Now if you saw that, you'd be forgiven for thinking that it's in G major or E minor. In fact, it's in neither of those keys. It's actually in A dorian, which is a minor mode. So think of it as an A minor key, but you've got the sixth of the scale, the F, raised to F sharp. And so that's why you've got the F sharp in the key signature. The G sharp, this note here, that's kind of an accidental, and it's called the leading note because it leads you back from G sharp up into A, the root note of the key. Don't worry about that if you don't understand it. It really isn't important, but just don't be worried about that key signature. Just think that all F's are sharpened, and you won't go far wrong. See, basically A natural minor key has the same notes as C major, which you probably know there's no sharps and flats, so that's why that's a little bit unusual. And rather than sharpen each individual note there, it's obviously much easier to put that F sharp in the key signature and takes care of all those Fs. So it's 3/4, 3 beats to the bar, so it's a waltz, and the first bar is what we call a pickup bar. It comes in on the third beat of the bar, and it says pos +4. Right, let's understand what I mean by pos +4. Pos H, what I call position home, if you like, is here on this third button start instrument. If I play the third button pull out, I've got the note A, which is kind of the root note of this key, this tune. So if I go 1, 2, 3, 4, 4 down from that, that's pos +4. So it's the same note, but an octave higher. Like I said, we're going to be playing this tune in this octave, this upper octave. So that's your position. Always, find your first note. It sounds stupid, but the amount of times, I've started to play a tune, I've got my finger on the wrong button, and we've all done it. Whereas if you know where you are, then it's going to make life a lot easier, and you're going to get off to a good start. So first finger on this note A, second space up on the stave. So it's a crotchet. It comes in on beat 3, so you count 1, 2, 3. And by the way, when you play this tune, probably start with the bellows fairly close because you've got quite a lot on the pull to start with. So 1, 2, 3, and there's your first note played. Now we're going to go on to the next stave, and the bar that we've just played we call bar 0. Pickup bar doesn't count as a full bar. So bar number 1 is the first bar on the second stave there. There were no chords for that first note. NC means no chord, no left hand. But now in bar number 1 we are going to have a left hand. But let's do the right hand first. Now the second finger falls nicely on the button below the one we just played, still pulling, gives us the note C, and then you can see the next note has a diamond head. Now in this tune, because our main row is the G row, then I give all notes on that row normal heads, and any notes found on the C row I give diamond shaped heads to. So this note is on that C row, and it's a D, okay? Finger 1. So far and you hear the tune starting to come out. I'm sure you know the tune Greensleeves. Supposed to have been written by Henry VIII, but I think the general consensus is that it came later than that in Elizabethan times. So the first note in that pickup bar came on beat 3. In the first proper bar, you've got the C on the first beat of the bar is a minim, so it's held for the first 2 beats of the bar, and that note on the C row, that note D, comes on beat 3. So bar 1 is 1, 2, 3, like that. So far all pulling. Let's look at the left hand for that bar. Now what we have here is A bass and A minor chord. It's the top 2 buttons on the inside row, finger 2 on the note of A and finger 1 on the chord of A minor. Now normally with melodeon music, the bass note is written as a capital letter and the chord is written as a lowercase or little letter. I think that looks weird, a little letter A and M, so if it's a minor chord, I give the letter name a capital as well. I think it looks a bit strange otherwise. And you can see there, can't you? I think you play the bass note A with that C in the right hand, and then you play your first A minor chord while that C is still ringing, and the second A minor chord coincides with the D on the C row. So basically your bass line is pa, pa. Fairly obvious, I think. Don't forget, if you're using YouTube to watch this, then you can rewind a little section just by pressing your backspace button on your computer. That jumps back to the same place each time, so you can keep replaying a certain part. And of course, if you use the cogwheel, you can go into the settings. You can slow the video down by, I think it's 3/4, a half, or a quarter. So my voice will sound a bit gurgly when it's slowed down, but I think it stays at the same pitch. The notes stay at the same pitch. Okay, they don't sound quite natural, but it's a good way of checking something if by any chance I'm going too fast for you. I hope I'm not, but if I do, then that's a good little trick to use. Right, so on to the second bar, bar 2, and it's still A bass, A minor, and you can see that it's all pulls. That's why I said have the bellows fairly close to start with. Now we've got this on the right hand. Now I talked about this in the other lesson. A lot of people play that as the tune of Greensleeves. So they will play an F natural there. They'll play E, F, E. And I can understand that. I'm sure I've done that myself. I think the proper tune is that note there, which is F sharp. I spoke about this note earlier. All the Fs are sharpened because we're in Dorian mode. And it's actually easier to play because it's finger 3 on the E, little finger on the F sharp, same row, button below, and come back to the E. And it's dotted crotchet, quaver crotchet, so it's 1, 2 and 3. So the dotted crotchet lasts for the whole of beat 1 and half of beat 2. The quaver, F sharp, comes on the and count of 2, and the final E comes on the 3rd beat of the bar. So it's 1, 2 and 3. Okay? Like I said, the bass line is still A bass, A minor, and you notice the first A minor chord comes in between the dotted crotchet and the quaver, so it actually comes on beat 2 like this. So from the beginning we've got this.